Welcome to the very first episode of Season 3 of Mom Autism Money. We are so happy to have you back here with us, and we're really excited to get you a brand new season of brand new content here in 2023. Before we get started, a bit of housekeeping. We'll talk about this a little bit more throughout the season, but the last time we spoke, we were hoping Congress would pass the Able Age Adjustment Act. Well, guess what? They did. As a part of Secure 2.0, the Able Age Adjustment Act passed in December of 2022. It pushes the age of onset of disability up to 46 instead of 26, which opens up ABLE accounts to about 6 million new Americans. Now, that age change won't actually be implemented until the year 2026. But now that it's passed, advocates are focusing on those Medicaid clawback provisions we all hate so much. While it's pretty rare that you will actually experience one of these clawbacks, it is exciting that getting rid of them is the next thing up on the legislative docket. If you were one of the people that called your senator or congressperson to ask them to support the Able Age Adjustment Act, I hope you'll take this news in stride and continue to participate in democracy, because your participation does make a difference. Now on to today's episode. We've talked before about Medicaid coverage and how it's so different in every single state, but what about those things Medicaid doesn't cover? Or what if you can't get Medicaid coverage in your state, period? Today we're going to talk to Sheletta Brundidge about ways to mitigate this problem through grants. Grants are money that organizations give you that you do not have to pay back. And if you put a little bit of elbow grease into your search and application, you can find a lot of funding for your autistic children. Sheletta Brundidge is an Emmy Award-winning comedian, radio host, entrepreneur, and picture book author. She founded a podcasting platform and production company called ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com to amplify diverse voices in media. Sheletta has been featured in People Magazine and USA Today and has appeared on Good Morning America, The Tamron Hall Show, The Ellen DeGeneres Show, The Today Show, and CBS Mornings. She has co-authored 3 best-selling autism children's books, including her latest, Brandon Spots His Sign, which gained national attention after she received personal praise from President Joe Biden. She can be heard weekly on The Sheletta Show on CBS Radio or on one of the podcasts she hosts on the podcasting network she created to celebrate Black culture. Sheletta has personally been awarded tens of thousands of dollars in grants for her autistic children. And today she's going to walk us through the full process so you can get access to that money too. Without further ado, let's talk to Sheletta. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm wondering if you could tell our audience about yourself and a little bit about what you do.
Oh, sure. My name is Sheletta Brundidge. I am the mother of 4 children. Andrew 16, Brandon is 10, Cameron is 9, and Daniel is 7. And so Brandon, Cameron, and Daniel have all been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorders. And because of that, I have immersed myself in the community of moms who have children with special needs. I have been an advocate. I have been an ally. I have been a recipient. I have been a contributor. I have received information. I have provided information as we all as parents try to navigate this world of having a child on the spectrum.
You also run this really cool podcasting network. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about that too.
Sure. Sheletta Makes Me Laugh is a podcasting network. I've been in radio and television broadcasting for 21 years. And I was working at a CBS radio station in the Twin Cities, Minnesota, St. Paul, where I live. And I just kept trying to get primetime on-air position and, kept trying. And, after being there for 3 or 4 years, realized that they were never going to hire me. And not because I wasn't qualified, but because in 97 years of the radio station's history, they had never hired a woman of color for a primetime role. And so I said, I'm never going to be qualified enough. I'm never going to be educated enough. I'm never going to be good enough. But I didn't know really where to go, what to do. I have been giving all of my time and talents and connection and access to the community to my radio station. And, have been getting paid pennies on the dollar of what I was worth. And I was at home watching I wasn't. I was in LA. I was getting ready to go on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and I was watching Tyler Perry at the BET Awards. And he said, instead of fighting for a seat at the table, build your own. So I created ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com, a podcasting network, and it was just supposed to be me, which is why it's called Sheletta Makes Me Laugh. It ain't called We Make Me Laugh. It's called Sheletta Makes Me Laugh. When I was creating a platform, it was just supposed to be me. It was just supposed to be my podcast, my show, one show. And then I started hearing from a bunch of Black subject experts in Minnesota who said, Sheletta, we been trying to get on TV too. We've been trying to get on the radio and nobody will respond to us. Can you have a podcast? Can you produce a podcast for me? Can you produce a podcast for me? And so we came out the gate February 1st, 2020, in honor of Black History Month and my grandmother's birthday, my late grandmother's birthday. Sheletta Makes Me Laugh came out the gate with 7 shows, all hosted by Black subject experts. And in the state of Minnesota, which is one of the least racially diverse states in the country, on ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com, we have 4 Black licensed professional therapists and a PhD. You can't find 4 Black therapists in Houston, okay? And we got 4 on a platform that only has, now we have 10 shows, but we are very purposeful and intentional about helping people in communities of color heal. And all the shows, are different. We like to say we're a one-stop shop for cultural relevance and creativity. So I host a show about autism. And I host a comedy show because I'm a comedian. My children host a show where they go to different places across the country and review things that, are particular and support kids with special needs. We got a travel show, we've got an empowerment show, we got a health and fitness show, we got a finance show, we got a diversity show. And all of these shows are hosted by very capable and talented Black folks.
I love that. And I love that whole idea of building your own table.
It's and it ain't easy to build a table though. It's not. If you go and sit down at somebody else's table, you don't realize that wood had to be cut strategically and it had to be placed and all the legs have to be even. And there's a lot of cutting that needs to be done. And then you got to varnish that so that when people sit down, they don't get splinters, and the chairs have to be just the right size. And so, when you're working for somebody, you sit down at their table and it is already built and it is already there. And you are taking a seat at their table that they created. So it fits them, right? So it's the size that they want. So when you're sitting down at their table, your feet might be dangling because you ain't tall enough. Or your knees might be dragging the ground because you're too tall. But when you build your own table for your own people, when people sit down, they are comfortable. You know what I'm saying? The seats fit them. The seats fit them. They're sitting down at this table and the table looks familiar. It's African oak. It's a table that is built for, and ain't nothing like sitting down at a table that you built, the pride that comes along with sitting at that table. You just ain't never comfortable when you're sitting at somebody else's table. You ever tried to go to somebody else's house and eat, and you in the table and you trying to fix your chair and you trying to sit on one booty cheek because the chair is not comfortable and you don't want your hemorrhoids to start acting up. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, so this table is for us. We got our chairs, our varnish, we comfortable at it, and we're having a damn good time making this money.
It's not based on someone else's expectations.
Right. When we want to move, we move. When we want to do what we do. We don't need no permission from nobody. It's our stuff. And that's the thing. I remember when John Singleton died. I went to my boss at the radio station and I said, listen, John Singleton just died suddenly. I said, Black men are at risk for high blood pressure. How you die from high blood pressure, you John Singleton? You ought to have doctors to come to your house and look at your blood pressure and make sure you're on the right medicine. You ought to have people to come in and train you to make sure your heart is healthy. You ought to have somebody coming in and cook for you to make sure your diet is right. How are you John Singleton and you are dying from high blood pressure? Well, guess what? Black men just ignore healthcare and doctor's orders until they get really, really sick and it's too late. So I said, hey, I want to do a blood pressure screening for Black men on Father's Day. I want to provide something to eat. Black Nurses Rock is going to come. And let's try. It was like pulling teeth. They just didn't understand the importance of doing this. And so finally, after a month of begging, they allowed me to do it on behalf of the station. Why should it be so hard to help the community? It shouldn't. So when we want to do something at ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com, we do it. We wanted to go to Buffalo to drop off children's books after the Tops grocery store mass shooting. We did that. We wanted to go down to Uvalde to donate books to the kids who survived the school shooting. We did that. We don't have to wait for anybody. If there's an urgent need in the community, we can meet it without having to go through any red tape. And that's the most freeing part of going into business for yourself is that when you want to help somebody, you don't have to ask for permission. You don't have to say, can I cut this check? Can I go over here and organize this event? Can I make these connections? You just get out there and get it done.
Absolutely.
I said, it ain't easy. The first thing was grants. We started getting grants. After George Floyd died, a lot of organizations and companies started helping small businesses in Minnesota. And they saw that we were an authentic media voice for Black folks in Minneapolis. And so we got grants, and that allowed me to back pay everybody. A lot of people were saying, well, you should use that money to pay going forward. I was like, no, that's not what the Lord put on my heart. The Lord put on my heart to pay these people going back. So for the year that they worked, they got paid for that year with that grant. And then, we went from grants to sponsorships. Target and General Mills and Hy-Vee and Bremer Bank and Huntington Bank, all these large major Fortune 500 companies are sponsoring a little old podcasting platform. Little old Black girl from Fifth Ward, Texas, is running out of her kitchen. Why? Because the hand of the Lord is on us, and he has given us influence, and he has given us power, and he has given us an opportunity to share our authentic story, and people have connected with that.
Absolutely. I love that. I think that's so important, running an ethical business. And I think that's really what gets people to stick around and stick with your vision,
Yeah, it's easy to just, get dirty. Take dirty money.
Right.
We've had companies to say, oh, well, I see that your children are doing so well in their autism journey. We have this powder, this supplement that we want you to sponsor. We want to buy some ads on your podcasting platform. Or the lawyer who's doing a class action lawsuit who says, Tylenol is causing autism. Can they run the commercial on my podcasting platform? Well, if I say it, people are going to believe that it is me, that it is my children, that we were somehow a beneficiary or impacted by this product or by this lawsuit. And so I have to be very careful, because I don't want God to take his glory from me. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, some money you just have to turn down, and then God is going to bring it back to you. But like you said, you cannot, you have to operate in integrity, and you have to have some character. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be spotless and blameless, because none of us are. You know what I'm saying? It's been some ones that I carried that shouldn't have got carried. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna pay my people. We're gonna have contracts. We're gonna be honest and upright and upfront with one another. We're gonna operate in brotherly love, and we want to make God proud, number one, because if you're going into the world as a light, you can't be doing the dirt and darkness, because he's going to expose that. I can't be over here beating my kids and then do a show, where I'm laughing and doing comedy, and I'm telling people to love one another and be righteous. I can't be over here cussing out my husband if I'm telling people to love theirs. You know what I'm saying? So what you see is what you have to get. Otherwise, you're not going to be in business for long. God's not going to continue to sustain and bless you.
You have to be true. I think you have to be true to the audience too, and be honest.
Yeah. Because the thing too is that, people are looking at you and they listening and they watching for inconsistencies. And so that's why I say, look, I will drink bourbon and bless the Lord. I will have a cocktail and praise Christ. Because we are all flawed creatures. Jesus' first miracle was turning water into wine, so he was drinking a little wine himself, him and his mama. But we are all human, but people are really looking, and you don't want to have any cracks in your armor. Not that you should go out here and present yourself as something that you are not, but your life should reflect the life that you purport to live. And I want my life to look like Christ. I want to look as much like Jesus as I can, because, one of my favorite scriptures says, if he be lifted up, he'll draw all men unto you. And I ain't trying to preach, but, when I lift him up, I've seen stuff come my way that I have no business getting, no business getting. There's no way I should have won a $98,000 Class A RV off Twitter. There's no way that should have happened. There's no way. I did nothing.
Whoa.
I did not enter a contest. I didn't put my name in a hat. I didn't beg for it. Marcus Lemonis, the CEO of Camping World, got on Twitter and said, I'm going to give a pop-up camper to somebody. Who should I give it to? And everybody on Twitter said, you need to give it to Sheletta, because she's doing so much in the autism community. She and her family, that this would benefit them. She's got 3 special needs kids. They can't get on the plane, and she can't get to her family in Houston. Marcus Simonis called my house and said, not only am I going to give you this $98,000 Class A RV free of charge, I'm going to insure it, and I'm going to make you a celebrity endorser for Camping World.
Wow.
Look at God. And I'm telling you, that ain't nothing but God, because I didn't do anything. I did nothing. But you know, God can't bless me if I ain't living right. You know, God can't bless me if I don't have no character. God can't bless me if I don't have no integrity. And he can't bless me if I ain't blessing somebody else. You know, one of my favorite Bible verses says, a generous person will prosper, and those who refresh others will be refreshed. And so when I pass out free books, you know, in Uvalde or Buffalo or Houston or wherever, when I, you know, help a mama crying at 2 a.m. because her child can't talk and she's trying to figure out what to do. Or if I do some free workshops at a church about how to find grants and scholarships for your special needs children, then, you know, God is going to have to, in the spirit of reciprocity, bring that back to me. And girl, we are riding real good in that RV, baby. I mean, these right there. My daughter told one of her little cousins, she was like, oh yeah, they're giving away RVAs on Twitter. Tell your mama to go on Twitter. Tell your mama to go on Twitter so she could get an RV. She's 8 years old. So my cousin's daughter is crying because she won't go on Twitter to get an RV. What if you tell Cameron to stop calling here unless she got the cheat code? Because they ain't giving away RVs on. See, my kids think that, and they don't understand the magnitude of the blessings and the favor and the anointing on our family. And so they think everybody like that. Like so we got these 3 autism children's books, right? And so Daniel, my son's book, Daniel Finds His Voice, is all about him learning how to talk through music. So he was nonverbal, 4.5 years old. His autism evaluation that year said he had no functional language, right? And so he learned how to talk by singing Old Town Road. So Lil Nas X, the singer, the rapper, reached out to our family, and he was so excited, and he couldn't wait to meet Daniel. And so my kids were going to school like, oh yeah, we talked to Lil Nas X yesterday. Did y'all talk to Lil Nas X? We got his phone number. You want his phone number? You could call him. I'm like, no, they can't call Lil Nas X. Everybody, y'all stop today, because everybody's not calling Lil Nas X. It's not how this works.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I don't know if you know, like, but I have 4 children, 24 all the way to 6, and they're all in the spectrum. My youngest one is nonverbal, but if I sing a melody, he follows it.
Thank you. There you go. There you go. And that's how it was. That's the thing with Daniel. Everything he learned through music. And so now he's 7, and this boy is multiplying and dividing, and he is spelling and writing sentences. He can read on like a 4th or 5th grade level. 4.5 years old, non-verbal. But if you teach it to him through music, it's a wrap.
We have to find a way.
You gotta find a way. It's up to us. You know, train a child in the way that he should go. And when he is old, he will not depart from it. It's up to us as parents to pray and find out what works for our child, because something works. You know, there's a miracle in it. There's a miracle in all of it. Not just for our families, but to inspire other people.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you a question? Because I think you're the only person I know that has multiple children in the spectrums, like myself. So how did you feel when you find out, like, the first one and the second one and then the third one? How did you feel?
I was mad at God. I said, God, why are you punishing me? Because I'm a married woman. I went to college. I'm living my life right. I'm tired. Why are you punishing me? I got 4 babies and I got a husband. They all have the same daddy. I got one cousin. She got 1 baby, and that baby got 3 baby daddies. How is her baby okay and mine or not? And so I got literally seriously depressed. I stopped eating, and I was drinking a lot. And I said, I don't drink now, but I was drinking a lot, and I wasn't eating. And you can't tell by looking at my fat, but now but I was down to 98 pounds. My chest sunk in. Don't let them Kardashians fool you, because you know when them Kardashians lose weight, they boobs stay big. That's a lie. The first thing to go is your boobs.
It
And
is.
my
Yes,
boobs
it's true.
they sunk into my chest. And so I was like, oh my God, Lord, I'm just gonna die. It's respectable. Nobody will know. I just stopped eating and then I just die. Because my body not getting nourishment. It's some point my organs gonna start eating off each other and I'll die. And I was under the table. The Lord told me, I'm not punishing you. I'm giving you a position. That position is mother. Now, get up and mother these children. And when you are done, you go help somebody else. And so I literally got up, I put the bottle in the cabinet because I know I was going to drink again. And I wiped my face off and I found a good ABA therapist. God blessed me with a good speech, PT, and OT center. We moved from Texas to Minnesota so we could get better services at school free of charge. And so I started seeing progress with my kids because, everybody's in a different spot. I went to a workshop over the weekend and, some of the ladies, were happy that they're, where their children were. They said, this is the way God made them. So no judgment, but what I wanted for my children, I wanted them healed. I told the Lord, I don't want them to seem like they got helped. I want them to be completely and totally healed. And so that's what I wanted. That's what I expected. That's what I had faith for. And so now, Brandon and Cameron, 10 and 9, are no longer on the spectrum. They were very severely autistic, did not talk, social anxiety, all the markings of kids with autism, throwing themselves on the ground, hand wringing, spinning around, lining things up, not eating, no eye contact, unable to play with toys properly. They are in the classroom right now at 5th and 4th grade without any supports, and they are testing at or above their grade level. And my son, Daniel, who was most severely autistic, at 7 years old, he's not far behind. And that's what I wanted. I wanted my kids healed. And everybody wants something different. Some parents say, well, this is the way God made them, so I'm going to accept them right where they are. And I do not judge that. That is how you feel. That is how you want to live your life. This is what you want for your children. You are their parent. But for me and mine, I don't want to be wiping their butts when they 18. When they turn 18, I'm going to need them to wipe my butts. So I'm going to need to get y'all right so that I have somebody wipe my butt.
So when it came to so you say you moved from Texas, was it because they didn't have the same? You said they didn't have the same.
So in Texas, the waiting list is 10 years.
Yeah.
For county services, the waiting list is 10 years. And in Minnesota, it was 10 months. They told me my son Brandon was 4 years old. And I said, what services do you have for him? And they said, the best we can do is put him in a group home when he turns 14. He was 4. I said, wait, I thought early intervention is a key. And they said, oh, well, we got a 10-year wait list. I said, well, we got to go. And so whenever I go back to Texas to visit my family, they always say, oh, these kids are doing so good. Not really. Not really. They ain't really doing that good. I mean, they always say, Sheletta, you're a great mother. And I said, no, I'm not really a great mother. I just got better services. Because they wouldn't see them for 6 months. And then we come down there and they be looking at you and talking. They're like, oh, look, Sheletta working with them kids. Sheletta ain't working with them kids. Sheletta is not working with them kids. Sheletta got them kids hooked up with some good services and she know what time to drop them off. That's what Sheletta's doing. But if you are down there and you're on the waiting list for 10 years, for folks in Texas, it look like I done just performed some miracles or something.
Yeah. I remember one of the first real eye-openers for me. We have pretty decent Medicaid coverage here in Pennsylvania. And we also have, at least in the cities, we have access to services as well. And one of the first real eye-openers for me was seeing a news story about a woman in Texas who was paying for all of these services out of pocket, going broke. And I was like, why doesn't she just get on Medicaid? And then I looked into it a little. I was like, oh my gosh. This is crazy. This is crazy.
And in fact, the Houston Chronicle just sent a reporter and a photographer here. If you guys look the story up on just do a Google search and type in my name, Sheletta Brundidge and Houston Chronicle. The Houston Chronicle just came here and did a front page, 5-page story on a Monday about my family and how we had to leave Texas to come up here to get services. And the progress that my children have made, and how we once had a house that was silent. because the kids couldn't talk. In a house that is filled with talking and love and laughter, and how my kids assassing me and talking back and being disobedient because, we left and we came up here. And, it spawned some op-eds. Beto O'Rourke used it, as a tool, on Twitter that day to talk about, how Texas needs to change and get better. And they do. And listen, it was not easy because I don't have no family here.
Right.
I got people I know. I may have one friend here, maybe two friends. When I say friends, I mean friends. Some people think folks on Facebook is your friends. I'm talking about somebody who will not bail me out of jail, but go to jail with me. I always say a friend is not somebody who will bail you out of jail. A friend is somebody who will go to jail with you. I'm talking about, so even like when my kids go to school and they say, who's the emergency contact? I have nobody. So I left my mama, my daddy, at the time, 2 grandmothers, about 10 aunties, 20 plus cousins, all my best friends, everything I know and love in Houston to move to Minnesota.
Why Minnesota? Can I ask?
Yeah, because the waiting list was shorter.
Okay.
The services were better. And my husband at the time and we had lived here when we were single, and we got married here. We had 1 child here, and then we left and moved to Texas. And that's the thing. We could pay for one of the kids to go to an autism school. We can pay for all 3 of them, because we blue collar people. I got a couple of, degrees, and, my, ex-husband, he graduated from medical school. So we put the oldest child in private school. He's a brilliant brainiac. And we went to an autism school for Brandon, but then when Cameron and Daniel both got autism, and we thought we can't wait 10 years for these kids to get no help, and we can't afford to pay for special education school for all of them. So we've got to get up. We have to bring somebody here. We have to come up out here because we're gonna be you either, if you want your kids healed and you got special needs and you in a state that's not providing you with the services and resources that you need, you either got to be rich or you got to move. You got 2 options. You cannot get your kids healed and stay in a state that does not provide you with the services you need. It's not gonna happen.
That's what I live in the state I live. That's the reason. Like, there's no way I will find the service and the helps that I got from my family if I moved out of here.
No, and I hate being away from my family. Don't get me wrong. I hate that. I wish I could be close to my mama. I miss Thanksgiving and Christmas without logistically leaving and, being gone. And I hate these winters. Nobody likes it when it's minus 20 degrees outside. I don't give a damn what they say and how long they do it. Nobody likes that. That's not hot. But you can't beat the healthcare. You can't beat the services. Even something as simple as what the insurance will cover. When Sean came ahead of me, because he came ahead of me, we trailed him so that he could get the house, so that he could get set up, so that he could scout the school, so that he could, provide some infrastructure. So, it's impossible for all of us to come at one time and have a good landing because you can't unpack with 4 kids. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he came up here, painted and put the blinds up and unpacked and, bought soap and toilet paper and put the bedspreads and blankets on the bed, all that stuff, so that when we got here, all we had to do was come get in the bed. You see what I'm saying? Well, we had to do it that way. So we were still in Texas, right? But he was here and he had Minnesota insurance. And so when I went in Texas to get ABA therapy, they were like, oh, it's covered by your insurance. Well, Texas doesn't cover ABA therapy. Something as simple as that. At the time they didn't cover. I don't know what they're doing now, but at that time they were not covering ABA therapy. And the therapy center was like, wow, this has never happened. Yeah, you don't have to go get a scholarship or raise money or put a deposit down because apparently the insurance that your husband has, it covers ABA therapy. So
that's amazing.
Even the advocacy work that goes into helping children with special needs is very different here.
100%. I do kind of have some questions about, we talked a little bit earlier about grants for business. There's also a lot of families may or may not know this. And I feel like it's especially important in states like Texas, where you don't necessarily have access to all of those healthcare needs, but there are actually grants for families with autistic kids. And I know you have a lot of experience with those. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about how you found them, how you used them. What was that experience like?
This is the thing that I need everybody, y'all take notes. I'm gonna talk slow because I need y'all, anybody listening, take y'all a pencil and a piece of paper out, because this is the bread and butter. This is the meat and potatoes. There are scholarships out there. There are grants for families like yours and mine who have kids with special needs, but they can't afford the copay. I have raised probably $200,000 in the life of my children for from foundations, from organizations, and from people who have grants and scholarships, paying for everything from a trampoline in my backyard to a fence to keep my kids safe, to combination locks, to padding to put on the floors, to desks, to dry erase boards, to iPads. I'm not talking about wheelchairs. I'm talking about iPads, snuggle blankets, weighted, all this stuff. There are grants and scholarships out there to pay for alternative therapy, alternative medications and prescriptions, any of that stuff. It's available. And so what happened was, and what happens to a lot of us is that we see that our kids need help, right? We see that they're showing signs that they have autism. We say, okay, let me go get you some speech therapy. Well, guess what? The insurance won't pay for the speech therapy until you have the autism diagnosis. Well, guess what else? You are on a 10-month waiting list or a 1.5-year waiting list to get the diagnosis. So what do? They keep saying early intervention is the key. Early detection is the key, right? But you're on this wait list. And your insurance will not cover that speech therapy. Your insurance will not cover that ABA therapy. Your insurance will not cover that occupational therapy or physical therapy. Your insurance is not going to pay for you to get a fence because your child is wandering. So what do you do while you're waiting on the diagnosis? You get a grant. You get a scholarship from a foundation, an individual or a corporation that has money and funding, and this opportunity is set up for you. So here's what you do. And this is, it's not just falling out the sky. You got to go get it. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens. People say, oh my God, because at the time when I first started helping people find this money, I think in 1 year I got $80,000. And I'm talking about this is, some of the foundations, they say, well, we're just going to send it to the therapy center. That's fine. I don't care. Well, we're just going to, you want that play system, that $5,000 rainbow play system for your kids? We're just going to send it to the rainbow play system. I don't care. Oh, you want that fence, that $6,500 fence? Well, we're just going to send it to the fence company. I don't care. As long as it gets paid for. You want that iPad? Okay, well, we're going to buy it. Send us a link. We're going to buy each one of your kids an iPad. We're going to buy 2 laptops. Send us a link and we're going to pay for it. That's fine with me. And then some places will send the cash. We're going to send you a check and you send us back a receipt showing that you bought the lockers and the wall dividers, that you bought the books that you said you needed, that you bought the bed that you said you needed, that you actually put the front fence in, that you actually bought the combination lock. Send us that. Do you see what I'm saying? So every grant, every organization is different. But again, this money's not falling out of the sky. You got to go get it. So what you do, and this is not just for moms who have kids with autism, this is moms and dads who have kids with any kind of special needs. Google is your new best friend. Number one, you go on Google and you type in grants for kids with autism, cerebral palsy grants, spinal bifida grants, deaf child grants, blind child grants, scholarships. And all these different things are going to come up. And you're going to look at them and see which one you qualify for. So for instance, there's a one, I'll just, kind of one, for example, it's called the Gia Nicole Foundation Grant. They got $500 grants for kids who need help with speech therapy. Right? And it's just like filling out an application for a job. They're asking you for your name, your kid's name. They ask you for a diagnosis. If you don't have a diagnosis, they ask you when you're going to have an appointment to get the diagnosis. They may want a letter of recommendation from a teacher. It's just like filling out a job application, except it's a scholarship for your child. It's a grant for your child. And then you tell them what you need the money for. I need the money for a trampoline for my child because he's going bananas. It's the summertime and I didn't realize that he needed somewhere to jump, somewhere to play. And I don't have it in my house. So I need a trampoline. A trampoline costs $1,200. I got 6. Can y'all give me the rest? Can you provide me with the rest? And then have your receipts. Have your information from the company where you're trying to buy the trampoline. This coming from Wayfair. Circle the amount. Here's what it costs. It costs $1,200. With the shipping is $13. I only got $500. Can you please provide the rest? You can either make the check out to Wayfair or you can make it out to me. It doesn't matter. Hey, there's another, speech therapy grant. They send the money directly to the speech therapy center. Go to the speech therapy center. Hey, look, I'm waiting on my kid to get a diagnosis. They said I'm on a wait list for a year. But if I get a grant, will y'all take the money directly from the organization? They will say yes, because they don't turn down money. Okay. And then you have them write a letter. And then you fill out that application. Again, it's just like a job application. Hey, my name is so-and-so. My child is so-and-so. He's such and such years old. He's not going to be able to get autism diagnosis until he's 4 years old, but I believe he is on the spectrum. I need speech therapy, but the insurance won't pay for it until he has a diagnosis. That's just the way it works. Speech therapy is $80 a session. He needs 2 sessions a week. That's X amount of dollars per month. I would like to ask you to please give me this X amount of money so that he can get speech therapy for 6 months. This is how much I need. Here's a letter from the speech therapist. Here's a picture of my child. Here's a note from his teacher. And here's the information. He's going for his autism test on December the 5th in 2023. It's September 2022. I don't want to wait that long. Can you please help me? And these foundations, these organizations, these 501c3s, these corporations, these very generous people are looking for folks to give money to. In fact, a lot of times I was the only one applying for money. Not because I was the only one who needed it, but I was the only one who knew. And at the end of the year, these organizations are coming back to me saying, Sheletta, do you know anybody who needs this money? Because they set aside $25,000 for us to give away. And we can't keep giving it to you every year. Needs this money, because otherwise we cannot, in good conscience, go back to the corporation and say, give us another $25,000 to give away next year, because nobody's applying. Right. I said, it's not that people don't need it, they don't know. And so I started doing free workshops at churches and community centers and in connection with people like Easter Seals and different autism foundations, and putting on these free workshops, not only to let people know about the grants, but during the workshops, I would actually have the application there. And we would go through the application together line by line, because there's always an essay. And for some people, that's the most difficult and most intimidating part. But once we broke it down and we worked together to try to figure out how to fill it out, at the end of the workshop, they had an actual application filled out, and all they had to do was go to the post office.
Wow.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. I have a really selfish question about the trampoline. When you're looking for grants for stuff like that, obviously the ones with the therapy, I feel like would be easy enough to figure out. But for trampolines, are they issuing grants as durable medical equipment, or like how are they classifying?
That's up to them. They say, some of them say whatever you need. Some of them are just specific to speech. Wow. Some of them are just specific to ABA. So what you should do is find one that works for you. So when I needed ABA therapy for my kids, and I was in Houston, and I didn't have no money, and my husband had not found a job in Minnesota yet where the ABA therapy was covered, and we had an autism diagnosis yet, guess what? I Googled ABA therapy grant for children with autism, ABA therapy grant scholarship, autistic kids, and all these foundations came up. I applied, and one of them gave me $1,500. It seemed like so much money at the time. Right now it seems like peanuts, but at the time, my son Brandon, his speech therapy bill every month was $800, and that seemed like a lot of money to me at the time. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to pay this $800 every month? Well, guess what? The Lord blessed me every month with some money from somebody, a scholarship, a grant, that covered that speech therapy until he got his diagnosis, and it was covered by the insurance. I never came out of pocket ever for his services. And that went on for a year. Every month I would apply for a grant and I get it, or I apply for a scholarship and I get it. And it's not, and people think I'm not special. The money is out there. We just have to apply for it to get it. And I can't tell you, oh, well, you should go here, 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 and here, because everybody's situation is different. I can't send you to an ABA therapy grant if you're looking for a fence or a trampoline. My neighbor came up in here, and he, the guy who lives behind me, he came up in here and he moved in, him and his family. He got 2 kids, and in Minnesota, they don't believe in fences. They like to share yards. I'm from Texas. We got fences up everywhere. This my stuff, that's your stuff. Stay out of my stuff, right? And so my neighbor, he came in and he moved in, and the first thing he did was tore down the fence. And I was telling my husband at the time, I said, now why didn't you tell that man that we got these kids over here with autism and he can't tear that fence down, because we need that fence to keep our kids safe. I can't play outside with my kids now. I'm not gonna be running all over the street trying to keep my kids from getting hit by cars. And so it was too late, because the man had already done it and there was nothing that we could do. You know what I'm saying? He had already tore the fence down. And so I said, okay, all right, that's good. He told me, I'll put a new one up in spring. Baby, let me tell you something. I got on Google, I found me a grant. Them people paid $5,000 to the man with the fence company. The man with the fence company agreed to take that $5,000. He sent them their receipt, and I had a fence up in here probably about 4 days later.
That's amazing.
They just paid him his little funky $5,000. So it just depends on what you want. Like the trampoline and stuff, I got that. And some grants will be specific to who you are. My husband is a disabled veteran. So I went to a veterans organization. I think it's the Blue Ribbon Foundation or something. And they're the ones who pay for the fence. The Lions Club, sometimes it's just a community event. It's a community organization. Got nothing to do with kids who got autism, got nothing to do. And they the ones who came and paid for, the back fence. It just, you got to be creative and do what you got to do for your kids. And it's like I said, people were coming to these workshops and they thought this money was falling from the sky. And when I told them that they had to work for it, it's like a job application and you got to be interviewed sometimes for this money, more than one time. But if you got $5,000 to, cover speech therapy or trampoline or weighted blanket or iPads and laptops, then you ain't got to listen. You can tune out. But if you need that $5,000, if you need that $10,000, if you need that $800 for your baby, then you got to do what you got to do. But I have a little list that I used to keep. I started doing these workshops in 2015. And so one of the places, and a lot of these are, just kind of national, United Healthcare Children's Foundation, Variety Children's Charity, My Goal Enrichment Grant, Masonic Home and School, the Lindsay Foundation, Helping Hands Program, Blooming with Autism, ACT Today. Those are just some of the places that have grants and scholarships. And, like I said, it's going to be on you, and it's not going to be easy. But the more you do, the easier it'll get. And, I say, oh, well, I got $80,000 for my kids. Well, that wasn't $80,000 at once. That was $800 here, and $1,200 there, $1,500 here, $5,000 there, and $7,000 there, and $700 there, and $250 here, and sometimes $75 there. But I was putting all them nickels together to make them mean and equal something. And, I had to do it while the kids were asleep. You can't apply for grants and scholarships and you got special needs kids during the day. I would literally.
So true.
That's why I do these workshops, so that parents won't have to figure out the hard way what I learned easily. What I learned the hard way, it'll be easy for them, is I would put the kids to bed at 7 and I would go to sleep at 8. And then I would wake up about 1 or 2 in the morning. And until about 4 or 5 in the morning, I would look for grants and scholarships or apply for grants and scholarships. I think Monday would be my looking day, and Tuesday would be my organizing day, and Wednesday would be my application day. Thursday, I get everything ready for the mail, and Friday, I take the stuff to the post office and take the weekend off and start all over. But that stuff had to be done overnight because I had little babies. Nobody was in school. And you can't do that stuff with them kids around. They'll come and tear up your stuff and write on it, and girl, then you better had a heart attack because you don't work all day on something. They come and press a button and delete it on the computer. So it had to be done. It had to be done in the middle of the night, for me. And so that's why I share this, because I don't want other parents to have to go through what I went through.
Yeah, 100%.
Isn't that how we work, Bryn? I work early in the morning.
Yeah. All of my emails are scheduled for 8 a.m.
Girl, yes.
4 o'clock. It's if I don't get up, then no work is gonna get done. Period.
Yeah.
Summer, there's no work. Summer, it's like I get when I get there when I have time, because I have it all home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they do go to summer school, but it's only for a couple hours.
Yeah, and by the time you drop them off, hell, it's time to pick them up. My kids took me the other day. They said, "My mom, what you do all day?" Hell, I just dropped you off.
Yes,
I've been in the
yes.
parking lot. It's been 15
It's like
minutes. I don't know
I was just dropping you off, and then I had to turn
Right.
around
And
and
I
get back in the
around.
line.
I went and got gas and turned around, and I'm back. I ain't even peed. What y'all talking about?
Yes, that's how I feel in the summer. I'm like, I dropped you off, and I'm turning back around to the getting in the line to pick you up again.
Yes.
That's what I did.
That's my life. I have a question about you mentioned that people are intimidated by those essays. Do you have any tips for tackling them, or like in your workshops, how do you help people through them?
Write it. Yeah, just write it as if you were talking to a friend. Just talk in your true, authentic voice. Everything ain't got to be spell checked. The sentences don't have to be grammatically correct. Speak from your heart. Tell them exactly what you need, and don't try to talk like you think somebody might want to hear it. Talk in a way that you would talk to your friend. Hey, listen, my name is Sheletta Brundidge, and I'm writing you because I have 3 kids with special needs. My husband and I are hardworking blue-collar people, but by the time we pay all these co-pays, we don't really have money for any extra stuff. Our kids need a fence. They are wanderers. And if you don't help us, something's going to happen. And I don't want you to have to see our family on the news. So listen, you got this scholarship. I would like to use it to buy a fence. The price that they're quoting us is $4,600. I'm attaching a receipt or a bid for the fence. Can you please, consider paying this? You can pay it directly to the vendor, or you can give the money to us, and we will be more than happy to send you a picture of the fence once it's in and done, so that you'll know it's been taken care of. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. That's awesome, because I feel like you might feel a little bit of pressure to like take that register up real high.
That
or
would be
like,
me.
But
that would be me. I'm like, English is not my first language. I'm going to sound horrible. My grammar is going to be horrible.
It don't matter. It don't matter.
Like that would be me. But yeah.
Yep, it don't matter. They just really want to hear from you. They really want to find out what's going on. And it is so important, especially in these grants and socials, that you put a picture of your child in there so they'll know who they're helping. It's hard to say no. If you just send the essay and the paperwork, even if they don't ask for a picture, it's easy to turn down paperwork. It's hard to turn down a child.
Yeah.
That's true. So when you apply for a grant, how long before you know?
Everybody's different. It's like a job. It's like you just applied for 15 jobs. Every place is going to be different. Some places, you'll know in a week. Some places, the board meets monthly. Some places will turn around and tell you your story meant so much to them, they'll send you the money the next day. In fact, I had some people bring a check to my house. So,
oh, wow.
It just depends on the organization, where they're located, how many applications they get. And again, they have to give this money away. And a lot of times they have to turn around and turn the money back into the board and tell them, oh, well, nobody applied. Well, then what does that say to the board? That says to the board, there's not a need. Well, there is a need. There's an information gap. There's an access. Yeah. There's not a need gap. There's an access to information gap. You can't access something you don't know anything about.
So you got me thinking about the fence. The fence, I'm like, I need a fence. I live in a corner lot, and my child, it's a runner.
Oh yeah, see, I got a wander girl. I like to tell people he young and fast. I'm old and slow, and so we have snow here, and so it's a couple of times. If it weren't for him hitting that snowbank, girl, he would have been gone. I always tell people we are one blink away from an Amber Alert. And I remember one time we was in the house. It was wintertime. It was like -5 degrees outside. And we were in here, and this is before he started talking, and we were getting ready to go somewhere, do something or eat or something, and we couldn't find him. And so, you can't call him, because if he's playing hide and seek in his own mind, but forgot to tell us we was all playing hide and go seek, if you call him, he's just going to stay still and hide. So we would quietly walk around the house looking for him. And we did that for like 30 minutes. And that's when I realized somehow he's gotten out of this house. And I'm heading over to call the police, to call 911. And in my mind, I'm trying to remember what was the last thing he had on, because my baby was gone. We searched every inch of this house and we could not find him. And as I'm walking to the phone, I look outside and he's jumping on the trampoline. in
my God.
pajamas, no socks, no shoes, undershirt, no coat. It's -5, and it's supposed to. So he gets back in the house. His toes are blue, his fingers are blue, his eyelashes got snow on them, but he's just as happy as he can be. He's
Mhm.
hands, But what if we had not had a fence? Where would he be?
Yeah.
Somewhere
Right.
frozen on the side of the road. And so that's why it's so crucial that we get out there and get this funding that's available so we can have a better quality of life for our kids, but also peace of mind for us. So now my kids
Yes.
can go outside and play while I'm cooking or while I'm doing laundry, and I can sit down and look at the window out the window at them and know they're not going nowhere because I didn't have to pay for this, all told $10,000 fence because I got the Lions Club paid for the three-part fence, and then my neighbor came in on the back and he tore that fence down, which was not our fence. And so then I had to find somebody to cover that back end, which was another $5,000. And I didn't pay for any of that. None of that came out of my pocket.
That's incredible. And it is a quality of life thing.
My house, if you knock on my door, you're gonna hear the beep 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 beep, and then I open the door because we have alarm. Because they're smart. It's not like
they're smart and they're getting bigger.
Yeah, and so I have to smart them and then it goes higher. So when he was a toddler, now he's 7, so it's higher. And that's gonna go higher, and then it has to be a code in it because it's gonna figure it out how to open the other one.
And those things are expensive, because we have combination locks on all our exterior doors, and those things, run between $100 and $300 a piece. And so, you think about, you got the garage door, you got the laundry room door, the garage door, you got the front door, you got the door down to the basement where they can go down to the basement and get out through the sliding glass. So you got to think about the office where there's a bay window where they can walk out of. You got to put those. You're right. You got to put those combination locks, and then the security system. If you want to buy security, that folks are funding that as well. I know Comcast has a security system, and they got chirps on doors and cabinets and all that good stuff, and you can find somebody to pay for that.
And also trackers, like they gave me because he has a little tracker.
Yeah, you can pay for trackers. Yeah,
but those are expensive. Ours run for $32. If you pay a year, will be $32 a month. Who can afford that? Like
that's a game changer. That's a tank of gas for somebody. So it's just about making sure that we access this. Like I said, it's not going to fall out of the sky. People think, oh, well, there's $80,000 somewhere. Let me go get it. It's a little bit here and a little bit there, but it's all about even knowing that it's there. And I don't think a lot of people know that it's there.
No, not at all. And that incremental thing is so huge. I feel like that's such a huge concept in personal finance, whether we're paying off debt or investing for our future or getting grants. Like, you're not going to get the 80 grand all in one lump sum. Like, it's all about incrementally applying or saving or paying off that credit card or whatever, doing it in those little chunks and just doing it consistently. And that's how you get to those really big goals and really big numbers.
And then you can look back and shout and say hallelujah when you look outside and see a trampoline and a fence and an RV and a rainbow play system that you didn't pay.
Oh, the RV! I heard about the RV and I'm like, oh man, that's our dream, because we can't travel by plane yet. Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
Well,
Not
you
yet.
know what? I don't even want to travel by plane. I don't want to get to the airport 2 hours early and then sit there and have my flight canceled and have to come back the next morning.
Yeah.
And then, all that stuff. And then when we get there, we still got to get a rental and a hotel. And hell, you stressed out. And by the time you get there, it's time to leave. We can take our time. We can get in that RV. The kids got their bunk beds. I ain't bragging. I'm blessing the Lord.
That for us would be like an RV would be perfect for us, because we'll be on the road, our time, because, we are always late.
You can come and go. And it's the thing, you can come and go as you please. You don't have to worry about, I got to be here. The plane take off at 2. What are we going to take? What are we going to do when we get there? Girl, we taking our bikes, our bubbles, our sidewalk chalk, our hula hoops, our Connect 4, all our books and games and crayons and colors and, our iPads. And girl, we ain't got to leave none behind. And for us, we like to keep the RV packed, so that all we got to do is jump on. The only thing we have to put on there is food. So we keep a change of clothes. We keep, 3 outfits for each child in there, and, our laundry basket and our towels and, all that good stuff, so that we don't have to, every time we get in there, start over. So we keep, clothes and towels and, wipes and everything in, and soap and everything in there, so that we don't have to worry about, all the other stuff.
You're Googling these organizations, right? And are there any red flags you look out for? Like, how do you know if this is a trustworthy organization you should be handing over your
research? You make sure at the bottom of the website, the current year is there. So if you're looking at an organization's website and you scroll down to the bottom and it says 2019, if you go on there and they say past recipients, and the last person who got a grant was in 2018 and it's 2022, if you go on there and a link is broken, then that's not the spot for you. And you can also do your due diligence. That's what the Better Business Bureau is there for. Because the last thing you want to do, and I've done it, and this is one thing that I talk to the moms and dads about who come to these events. Listen, I have filled out a 20-page grant application and turned it in, only for the people to tell me, we ain't got no money. We don't exist anymore. Oh, we everything is on hold until next year. Well, guess what? It's because I did not pick up the phone. People are not going to just give you money online. So if you just operating online, you probably are going to get scammed. They should have a phone number. You need to pick up the phone and call them. Hey, I'm looking at your website. Are you still giving away these grants? Oh, no, ma'am, we don't do that anymore. Okay, thank you. Hey, I'm looking at your website. It says that the deadline is coming up. Is this still, are you still doing this? Hey, I'm looking at your website. Are you guys still operating? Go Google their names and see if their 501c3 is still valid. Go look and see if there's been any news items talking about these folks. That's going to take you 5 minutes, but it's going to save you a lot of headache. A lot of headache. It's going to take you 5 minutes to look at the Better Business Bureau or Google their name on 501c3 website, or look at the bottom, look at their past recipients, pick up the phone and call them and let you call them back and see what name comes up on the caller ID. If they say the Lindsay Foundation, but they call you back and it's Bob Johnson, you might not want to give him your social.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. Mm-hmm. That's really smart.
It's up to you to be an advocate for your kids and yourself. And like I said, this is not easy. This is not, for the faint of heart, because it's not falling out the freaking sky. You gotta go get it. And I could always tell the parents who are going to go get it, because when I'm talking, they taking notes. The parents who ain't going to get it, they just sit. I see you, girl. They sit in the workshops and they just listen, and then they go on about their business. The parents who going to get it, I'll get a follow-up email. Hey, can you look at this essay? What you think? Hey, did I leave anything out? Hey, have you ever heard of these people before? Hey, I went on this website, but it looked fishy. If your website, if your antivirus says this website looks fishy or suspicious, don't click on that. Leave that alone. Trust McAfee, please, because I have got done in like that as well, where it says, oh, this looks suspicious. And nobody will ever ask you to give them money to get money. So if anybody tells you to wire them money, or, you need to pay an application fee for the grant, then that's not the one for you. And I've had that happen to me too. Oh, pay $50 for this grant application. And then I never heard from them people again. And they said, we give out new grants every month. If you pay us $50 a month, your name will go in the hat. No, then you don't have no money. You're running a Ponzi scheme.
Mm-hmm. Right. That is such an important thing to point out, though, because, you might not know. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. I think you have been a blessing to me, because I would have never known anything about this. And as a mom with multiple children, I probably would have paid for the fence myself.
Yeah. And you don't have to. If you can get out there, get the grants, find them in a timely manner, meet the deadline, meet the qualifications, have your documents. They're going to want tax information. Just black out your socials. Mm-hmm. Some of them will ask you for the last four so they can verify. If you're giving them your driver's license, just black out the number. They just really want to see your face and make sure you are who you say you are. There's a lot of fraud out there. Mm-hmm. We've got a situation here in Minnesota where there's a foundation that was providing meals to needy kids, and they said they built the government out of hundreds of millions of dollars. And so that's going to make it hard on us when we're going to look for these funds, because now everybody's going to be extra cautious and extra careful about who they giving money to.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Y'all. It has just been a pleasure and an honor. I just count it all joy anytime anybody asks me to speak to them and to the people that they speak to. I don't take it lightly that you ladies trusted me with your audience. And the people that trust you to deliver them good, solid, sound advice and information. I don't take that responsibility lightly. So I thank you for trusting me with the ears and the hearts of your listeners.
And thank you so much for being here. We're honored to have you. Thank you for all of the work you do in your community and beyond.
I really think I needed that. I needed you in my life for something, you know what I mean?
That was Jesus. You've been praying, haven't you? God said, it's so funny because every day I wake up, I say, Lord, make me the answer to somebody's problem. That's really what I pray.
I did. I think today I was just like, I'm positive. I think I always say, I wake up, I'm like, I need to learn something new. I need to find an answer. And today it was you. I think I was blessed.
And then I could take a nap then, because God's answered my prayers. Because I said, make me the answer somebody's problem. You got a problem, and I had the answer, so I could take my nap. I'm done now, ladies.
We're good. Thank you so much, Sheletta.
You're amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Sheletta. Thank you so much to all of you for listening today. I know Joyce and I learned a lot from our guest. I hope you did too. As always, we hope you'll find that little subscribe button so that you can be notified the next time an episode goes live. Right now, we've got a plan for season 3 to continue having weekly episodes for about the next 8 to 10 weeks. So we look forward to seeing you then. Bye.